Hello everyone. The topic for this video is going to be circuit diagrams. So what do I mean by that? Well, um, a lot of times we'll have an actual circuit, as you see on the picture on the left here. This was just my deconstructed flashlight. It had two batteries, a light bulb, and something to connect them, the conductor or aluminum foil. So that's a pretty simple circuit, but oftentimes when people are making some complicated things, they have lots of parts in the circuits. They'll have to communicate what goes in the circuit to somebody else, and they'll often do that by drawing it out. And instead of drawing out the actual parts, there are certain symbols that are used. The light bulb has its own symbol. Batteries have their own symbol, and this can be communicated to the engineers, electricians, science teachers all over the world, assuming that they use mostly the same symbols. So on the right-hand side is a picture of the circuit diagram. So this diagram matches the actual circuit here for the flashlight. So these lines here actually represent the two batteries, and then these straight lines are just representing the conductor or the aluminum foil. And then this fancier symbol, which is really just a loop-the-loop, that's how I draw it, with a circle around it, that represents the light bulb. So we're basically replacing the actual components with a diagram that contains simpler symbols. And that's what you're going to have to do. So in order to draw these diagrams, you're going to need to know what the symbols are. So that's what this slideshow is for, and this slideshow is available on Google Classroom for you guys. So here's the symbol for just a single cell. Those things that I've been calling batteries, they're actually called cells. That's the technical word for it. When you put two or more of them together, then we call it a battery. But that's just technical details. I won't worry too much about whether you call it a cell or a battery. But this may be like a picture of an actual battery. However, when we draw one in a circuit diagram, we simply use two lines. Two parallel lines, one longer, one shorter. The longer one actually represents the positive end of the battery or cell. The shorter one represents the negative end. So I have these positioned so that they kind of line up with the positive and negative in the picture. And then sometimes we put two cells together. So this is called a two-cell battery in series. So this is what it might look like in real life, just one attached to the other, end to end. But in a circuit diagram, we just draw the lines that we do for a cell. We just draw a pair of them to represent two cells. Once again, the shorter line represents the negative end of the battery, and the longer line represents the positive end. So I have this drawn so it's matching what the picture shows. And then we can add a third cell to this. So here's a picture of a 3-cell battery. Once again, note negative on top, then positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. So in my circuit diagram, it would look like short line, long line, short line, long line, short line, long line. So that's the circuit symbol for batteries. Then I want you to know what the symbol is for a light bulb. And light bulb, so there's like a picture of a light bulb, but in a circuit diagram, it's kind of the tougher one to draw. I describe it as a loop-the-loop with a circle around it. And that's going to be our simplified diagram for a light bulb. Now, this is often difficult for me to draw on a computer, the loop-the-loop. So oftentimes I may actually do something even simpler, which is a circle with an X through it. That might also be what I use to show a light bulb in a circuit diagram. And then we have resistors. So I talked about what a resistor was in the last video. This is a really close-up view of an actual resistor. They're really small in real life. They've got colorful bands on them, and the colors and the order of the colors represent how much resistance they offer to the circuit. So if you go into electronics, not in grade 9, but in a higher grade course, then you'll learn how to read all the colors to read the resistance on the resistor. But instead of drawing that on our circuit diagram, we draw something a lot simpler to represent a resistor. It's basically zigzags. Okay, when we draw the zigzags, that's a resistor in a circuit diagram. And then finally, we have a switch. I showed you what a switch was in the last video as well. This is what one of the switches from our school would look like if we were at school. So you'll see there's a lot of metal here because metal is a conductor. Electricity can go through the metal when this bar is attached, right? So right now this bar is raised, leaving a gap of air there. So the switch is in the off position, or we call that the open position. If I were to press this down, which I can't really because this is not real life, but if I were to press that down and make the bar touch both of these, then everything's connected and the part of the circuit would turn on. We would call that the closed position of the switch. So in a circuit diagram, we don't draw this complicated thing. We draw something a lot simpler. This, where my mouse is, this is what we draw for a switch. So I have two dots representing the two ends of the switch, and then just a line coming out of one of the dots, and that represents the bar. Okay, this bar right here that can either be opened or closed. All right, so those are the main symbols that you're going to be using to draw circuit diagrams. And this is just part 1 of this lesson. In the next video, part 2, I'm going to be showing you how to draw some circuits, all right, and how to answer some of the questions. So I'll see you in that video.